Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Church Mapped. Today we'll be in London, England to review St. Aloysius Church. But before we begin, you might be wondering who we are. Church Mapped is a travel company that specializes in churches across the world and is also a social network too. If you're curious about what we do, be sure to head over to churchmapped.com for more information. We also have a music, dating, jobs and game service as well. St. Aloysius Church sits in a part of London known as Somers Town, right beside Euston Station. The church takes its name from Saint Aloysius, a young Italian born in the 16th century to an important family known as the House of Gonzaga. He was the oldest child out of 7. His name wasn't actually Aloysius, but Luigi. Aloysius is merely the Latin version of his Italian name. As a member of the aristocracy, he was expected to join the military, but from the age of 7 he experienced a loftier call, which would ultimately culminate in him joining the Jesuits against opposition from his friends and family members. We spoke about the Jesuits in one of our earlier travel guides, namely Farm Street Church, which is also in London, England. Do check it out too. St. Aloysius did many great things, though sadly his life was cut short at the tender age of 23, after tending to an ill man during a plague and contracting the same illness the man had. He was made a saint in 1726 by Pope Benedict XIII. He is the patron saint of young people. Like other churches we've looked at in our travel guides, be it the Cathedral of St. Paul in Minnesota, United States, Cologne Cathedral in Cologne, Germany, or even right here in London with the Church of St. Anselm in St. Cecilia, do spend the time to check those amazing travel guides out once you're done with this. The church that sits here isn't the first church. Oh no, not at all. The history of St. Aloysius' church dates back to 1799, where a certain French cleric by the name of Abbé Carron, who had decided to emigrate to Britain from France in order to flee the tumultuous French Revolution, decided to open a small chapel in the London area. But of it, little is known. A more permanent church was opened in Somers Town on the 8th of April 1808, and is usually designated the name Old Church among attendees of the present St. Aloysius Church today. Abbé Carron left a huge impact on the area in London. Apart from laying the foundation of St. Aloysius Church, he also helped establish places that cared for the poor, wrote a book, to name just a few things. He returned to France in 1814 and died in the country in 1821. He left the church as well as surrounding schools he helped to establish to a certain Father Nerincx. He is commemorated here in the church. He was a Belgian priest who fled the country following the French Revolution, which resulted in the French army invading Belgium. He came to England in 1799 and was a priest for the parish until 1832. He shouldn't be confused with the slightly more famous Father Charles Nerincx, who also fled Belgium following the French Revolution, but set out to the United States. They were in fact brothers, but yup, totally different men. Totally. In 1820, a woman by the name of Marie-Madeleine de Hut founded a group, or what is known as an order, called the Faithful Companions of Jesus. She wanted to expand the group outside of France and was told England would be a great place to do it. She couldn't actually speak English, so one of her friends arrived to England with her. It was just in the nick of time, as Father Nerincx was looking for an order to take over the schools established by Abbé Carron. In 1830, this was granted. Marie-Madeleine de Hut herself returned to France the following year, in 1831, and died in the country in 1833. She is now regarded by the Catholic Church as venerable, a few steps just below a saint. Fast forward to the 20th century, and the church was badly damaged by the Second World War. Like many churches we've covered, such as St. George's Church in Cologne, Germany, as well as Cologne Cathedral itself in Cologne, Germany, there was much need for it to be repaired, and so a certain Father Arthur Welland went about to establish a new church. The new church was finally opened in 1968 after considerable effort, and it still stands to this day. It is known as a hub for events, particularly among the young, much like St. Aloysius himself, eh? Let's take a look around. The church has a number of stained glasses and what might be considered modern art. the church received an apostolic blessing from St. John Paul II in 1983. Curiously, the church has an interesting relationship with Venezuela. Guess what that is? Well, Venezuela, under the presidency of former president of the country, Dr. Rafael Caldera, acquired the baptismal font of the old church. The reason why is because it was rather significant. It was the font used to baptize the children of the hugely influential 19th century Venezuelan-Chilean humanist and diplomat Andres Bello. That's it for this episode of Church Mapped. If you're curious for more, do consider watching our travel guide on St. Peter's Italian Church, which is not too far from St. Aloysius Church. Also consider giving our travel guide on Westminster Cathedral a heads up too. If you're curious about what we do, be sure to visit www.churchmapped.com for more information. Don't forget to subscribe to us here on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, and give us a like on Facebook. Until next time.